10 meters beneath the Mediterranean waves, off the coast of Israel, lies a silent anomaly. It is not a shipwreck, nor the scattered ruins of a forgotten harbor. It is an entire village, frozen in time for 9 millennia. This is Atlit Yam. We find paved floors, stone-lined wells, and a haunting megalithic circle. Its stone still standing in ritualistic silence. Skeletons rest undisturbed in their graves. Tools and grain lie where they were left. It is one of the most complete Neolithic settlements ever discovered, a perfect snapshot of life from 9,000 years ago. But this pristine preservation is the enigma. The site shows no signs of war or gradual decay. It appears its inhabitants simply vanished, moments before the sea claimed their world. What catastrophic event could force the sudden, total abandonment of a thriving community, leaving everything behind? Now, let us open the case file and begin the investigation. To understand what we lost at Atlit Yam, we must first reconstruct the world its people built. This was the pre-pottery Neolithic Sea Period, a revolutionary moment when humanity was mastering the transition from nomadic hunting to settled agriculture. The village itself, built along the estuary of the ancient Oran River, was a marvel of engineering. Excavations have revealed robust, rectangular stone houses with paved floors and central hearths, arranged around communal courtyards. This was a permanent, well-planned settlement. Perhaps the most telling feature is the series of deep, stone-lined wells. When we analyze their construction, we find a remarkable adaptation. These wells were dug to tap the freshwater aquifer below the level of the encroaching sea, suggesting the people of Atlit Yam were already skillfully managing a changing coastline. This was a society of innovators. The clues they left behind paint a picture of a rich and complex economy. We find the expected evidence of early agriculture, stores of emmer wheat, barley, and lentils. But Atlit Yam's prosperity was built on the sea. Analysis of faunal remains reveals a staggering 6,000 fish bones from over 30 different species, including deep water catches like tuna and shark. This wasn't simple coastal fishing. This was active, organized deep-sea hunting, requiring sophisticated boats and knowledge of the ocean. They weren't just farmers. They were mariners. But among the discoveries, there are quirky elements that challenge our entire timeline of human development. Archaeologists uncovered an installation containing thousands of crushed olive pits. This is, to date, the earliest evidence of olive oil production in the world. These Neolithic villagers were pressing olives for oil millennia before we believe the practice began. This sophistication extended beyond mere survival. At the village's center, surrounding a freshwater spring, stands a haunting megalithic circle. 7 massive, unhewn stones, some weighing over a ton, arranged in a semicircle. This structure, now submerged, predates Stonehenge by 4,000 years. This poses a fascinating question. What did they believe? The careful placement around a life-giving spring strongly suggests a ritualistic purpose, a center for social and spiritual life. It required a level of community cooperation and abstract thought far beyond our traditional image of primitive farmers. And then there is the human evidence. Archaeologists discovered 65 human skeletons, many in deliberate, flexed position burials. It is from these remains that we get our most intimate and perhaps most surprising clue. On the skeletons of a woman and child, researchers at Tel Aviv University identified the first known cases of human tuberculosis. This discovery is profound. It not only pushes back the origin of the disease, but gives us a direct, tragic connection to the real-life struggles of this 9,000-year-old family. When we synthesize these clues, the picture is clear. Atlit Yam was not a struggling outpost. It was a thriving, complex, and innovative society, a regional hub of 100 to 150 people. They were mastering agriculture, pioneering new technologies like olive oil, engaging in deep-sea hunting, and practicing complex rituals. They were, by all accounts, a Neolithic success story, which only makes their disappearance more baffling. The evidence shows a people at their peak, not in decline. So why did they leave it all behind? The pristine condition of Atlit Yam is the most compelling piece of evidence. This is not a site of gradual decay. When we find grain still in storage pits and tools left on floors, we are looking at a Mary Celeste event, a moment of sudden, catastrophic abandonment. The inhabitants fled, leaving everything. For years, the prevailing theory was gradual sea level rise. We know the global Flandrian transgression was underway, with oceans rising after the last ice age. The skillfully constructed wells, built to tap fresh water below sea level, prove the villagers were aware of this slow encroachment and actively adapting to it. But a slow rising sea does not explain a panicked flight. It allows for organized relocation, for the moving of valuables, grain, and even the reinterment of ancestors. We see none of that. We see a community that dropped everything and ran. This discrepancy points to a different culprit. Not a slow creep, but a sudden cataclysm. This leads us to the tsunami hypothesis. A massive wave or series of waves would provide the exact conditions we see. It would provide a short, terrifying warning, perhaps a sudden, massive withdrawal of the sea, giving the inhabitants just enough time to flee to the higher ground of nearby Mount Carmel, but not enough time to gather their possessions. The wave would have inundated the village, and the subsequent salinization of the freshwater wells and agricultural land would have made any return impossible. The village was lost permanently in a matter of hours. But this theory required a smoking gun. What could trigger a mega tsunami in the eastern Mediterranean precisely 9,000 years ago? The investigation turned west, across the sea, to Sicily. There, geologists studying Mount Etna, Europe's most active volcano, found the scar of an ancient, almost incomprehensible cataclysm. This event is known as the Eastern Flank Collapse. The evidence, written in the volcano's own geology and in the bathymetry of the Ionian seafloor, is staggering. Sometime between 8,500 and 9,000 years ago, a time frame that aligns perfectly with the carbon dating of Atlit Yam's final occupation. A massive, unstable section of Mount Etna catastrophically failed. At least 35 cubic kilometers of rock, ash, and debris, a mass larger than Mount St. Helens' entire 1980 eruption, slid at terrifying speed into the Ionian Sea. When we model this single, colossal event, the consequences are biblical. This was not a small, localized event. This was one of the largest landslides in recorded geological history. The impact generated a mega tsunami. Scientific modeling allows us to trace the path of this ghost wave. Radiating from the impact site in Sicily, a wall of water estimated at over 40 meters high. The height of a 13-story building smashed into the coast of southern Italy within minutes. It wrapped around the Mediterranean, striking Greece, Crete, and the North African coast. The energy was immense, traveling at the speed of a modern jetliner. And this is the aha moment of the investigation. The models are precise. They show that approximately 3.5 to 4 hours after the collapse, this very wave, though diminished by its 1,000-kilometer journey, would have reached the coast of the Levant. A 10 to 15-meter surge of water would have appeared on the horizon and raced toward the shore, striking the very location of Atlit Yam. The pieces lock into place. We have a thriving, sophisticated village. We have definitive proof of its sudden, panicked abandonment. And now, we have a time-stamped, geologically confirmed cataclysm on the other side of the sea, with the exact power and timing to be the weapon of its destruction. The human story this evidence tells is chilling. The people of Atlit Yam, including the woman and child suffering from tuberculosis, would have had no warning, no understanding of what was happening. They only knew that the sea, which had been their greatest provider, had suddenly become their executioner. They fled for their lives, and when the water settled, their world was gone. The tsunami surge, combined with the already rising sea level, crossed a tipping point. The village of Atlit Yam did not just get wet, it was permanently reclaimed by the Mediterranean. Its existence sealed beneath a protective layer of silt, waiting 9,000 years for our investigation to find it. The evidence, when assembled, is conclusive. The investigation that began with a submerged stone circle in Israel finds its verdict 1,000 kilometers away, written in the scars of a Sicilian volcano. The mystery of Atlit Yam is solved. It was not a war, nor a gradual, willing surrender to the rising tides. It was a sudden, catastrophic execution by the sea, delivered by the mega tsunami from the Mount Etna flank collapse. The case file, in a forensic sense, is closed, but the site's true legacy is not its violent end. It is its immaculate preservation. The very cataclysm that ended this world also saved it for ours. It sealed the village beneath a protective blanket of sand and silt, creating a high-resolution snapshot of a pivotal, lost chapter of human history. This is the Pompeii of the sea, a moment frozen in time. When we study Atlit Yam, we are looking at the blueprint of the modern world. The discoveries here have forced a radical reassessment of the Neolithic timeline. We see the very beginnings of olive oil production, a cornerstone of Mediterranean culture, millennia earlier than previously thought. We see the mastery of deep-sea fishing for tuna and shark, proving a knowledge of seafaring, and boat building far beyond simple coastal foraging. We see the engineering of complex water systems, a community actively adapting to its changing environment. And we see its soul. The megalithic circle, built around a spring, demonstrates a community bound by complex spiritual beliefs, 4,000 years older than Stonehenge. We see the intimate human cost of this new, settled lifestyle in the tragic, ancient remains of a mother and child, the first known victims of tuberculosis. a disease that likely arose from this new proximity to domesticated animals. This is the profound power of the site. It is not an abstract collection of data, but a human story. The finds at Atlit Yam force us to update our timelines and, more importantly, our assumptions about our own ancestors. They were not primitive. They were sophisticated, resilient, and navigating the complex problems that we still face today. Their drowned village is a testament to the ingenuity of our species, but also a humbling memorial to the fragility of our existence. It reminds us that our grasp on the shoreline has always been conditional, subject to the immense, indifferent power of the planet itself. Atlit Yam rests in the silt, a 9,000-year-old moment of life, sealed by a 4-hour cataclysm. It is a reminder that history is not a slow, steady march, but a fragile existence. A single wave can erase a world, leaving behind only a silent, perfect ghost for the ocean to keep.